2016 was an interesting time for smartphones, with a short-lived trend of being able to improve your phone with add-ons. LG started the year off by releasing the LG G5, which we'll go into in the next video, and Motorola followed suit in September, with the Moto Z. The Moto Z line of phones was arguably stemmed by Google's Project Ara, a concept phone where you were able to not only swap out the general components such as the camera, storage and speakers, but even add specialized modules like a projector, a rear-facing e-ink display, thermal printer, etc. The project was announced in 2013 and cancelled in 2016, one of the many killed by Google products. The project was worked on during the time Motorola was owned by Google. Google kept the Aura patents once they sold Motorola to Lenovo in 2014, but evidently Lenovo must have liked the concept themselves and created their own take on the modular phone, the Moto Z. My unit here is the Moto Z Play, the mid-range version of the Moto Z. With its massive battery and efficient CPU, the phone was known as a battery king. Otherwise, it is rather unremarkable in hardware design and in software. So let's instead shift our focus on these pogo pins and what Moto mods can connect to them. Starting with the Hasselblad TrueZoom Mod. I laughed when I saw it in person because it really does look like someone cut a point and shoot in half. That is literally just like a digital camera.
It is just a digital camera.
It's literally snapped on to a phone. The mod features a 12 megapixel 1/2.3 inch sensor with a 10x optical zoom and a lens that's 25 to 250mm 35mm equivalent, and an f3.5 to f6.5 lens, which is actually very standard for a point and shoot. Likewise with the physical zoom switch and xenon flash, something extremely uncommon on a phone, though it has been done before by Nokia. We do have some basic features that you might not see on a point and shoot though, like the ability to shoot RAW and basic manual controls. Since 2016 was 7 years ago, which for context is when the Moto Z and the mod came out, let me refresh your memory. The Galaxy S7 was already released, and the photos that phone took I still think are incredible, especially with Gcam. The reason I bring that up is because I think we've already surpassed that point where phones took better pictures than point and shoots, and the TrueZoom camera not only looks like a point and shoot, but has the picture quality of one. Colors are lifeless, there's no HDR unlike on the built-in cam, so highlights are completely gone. There is vignetting at 10x zoom, and for some reason the raw photos capture a part of the barrel. Oh, and there's chromatic aberration too, a cherry on the cake. Motorola dropped the ball with the cheap optics, tiny sensor, narrow aperture, slow autofocus and poor software. Speaking of which, the mod tends to freeze, and when you start recording video, for the first second or two the video is frozen. Considering reviewers of the time complain about the glitches too, it seems like this mod was really half-baked. However, the one thing that saves the mod is the aforementioned RAW support. With a crap ton of dehazing, clarity boosting, noise reduction, chromatic aberration removal and color grading, we can change the poorly post-processed photos into something that's actually usable. Editing these photos really reminds me of editing pictures from my old Fuji Bridge camera, which was essentially point and shoot in a bigger body. So that was a nice bit of nostalgia. Oh, and in terms of how it compares to a modern phone, I do prefer my own RAW edits from the Moto over the Samsung post-processing, unsurprisingly. This is why I prefer to shoot RAW on phones. Next up is the Insta Share Projector, which is by far some of the coolest tech I've seen. At 480p, it certainly doesn't win any awards for sharpness with its soft image, staircasing and visible pixels, and with its 5 lumens, it's also not suited for anything but a pitch black room. But with its slim form factor and quick setup, it gives you the ability to project a usable 70-inch image onto the wall, or even ceiling, which makes it a seriously cool party trick. It transforms looking at content inside of a glass box into it being there in the physical world. I'd love to have one for watching YouTube in bed or for projecting the stars onto the ceiling. The fact that it's able to do so much in a small package really does make up for its downfalls, since I can't imagine even now being able to fit such a high resolution projector into such a thin package. The hinge is also extremely strong, allowing you to place the phone at any angle, and there's a tiny fan that you can hear too. Sticking to the Moto mod strengths, the final mod I'll be looking at is the JBL Soundboost speaker. With how chunky it is, you'd expect it to sound better than the phone's built-in speaker, but you might not expect it to give out sound that's much bigger than its body. There's plenty of real bass that vibrates the phone, and that doesn't get in the way of the mids and treble. The vocals though can tend to sound a bit hollow and lacking in oomph. But the overall package again sounds way better than the form factor might suggest, and it sounds a million times better than even the most newest of phones, and gets plenty loud too. Also, both mods have batteries to keep away from draining your phone's battery, at least for a while. They aren't the best speakers I've ever heard, don't get me wrong, but I do genuinely believe JBL did the most they could in such a small form factor. If you're wondering what happened to the Moto Z line, the last phone to be released in the lineup was the Moto Z4 in 2019, a time where, in my opinion, smartphone innovation started to plateau a little bit, but fair play to Lenovo for keeping the project alive for many years, outliving both Project Ara and the LG G5, that's for sure. And unlike LG, Motorola had a lot of cool mods that you could choose from, a lot of which I've even spoken about in this video. These include the 5G mod for Verizon, the Moto 360 camera, for that 360 camera trend that LG was also chasing, a gamepad mod, and a Polaroid printer. The ecosystem was relatively stable, and there were a lot of cool mods to choose from, even if not every mod was a winner. That being said, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you for part 2, where I speak about the LG G5, another modular phone. So see you then.